This dock is not a nice one to get thrown up against.
This might be the roughest fishing quay we've ever stayed on, so we need to make sure it doesn't grind a hole in the boat.
Oh, it just almost fell on my foot. No big deal.
But before we can do that, we need to first sail down there. And so after our little debacle this morning, getting our anchor back, it is time to set sail to the beach Agia Anna, to this old fishing quay that neither Nikki or I have ever been to before. It's not very far away at all, only 4.5 nautical miles. We just need to go southwest around a little cape and then southeast into the beach. But there's not very much wind today, but since it's only 4.5 nautical miles, why not sail?
Prepare to deploy the Genoa on the port side.
When I have people out onto the boat, one of the things I first tell them is that I'm going to teach them the bare essentials of sailing so that they can help me. And if they're interested in learning sailing, I'll teach them as much as they want, but that's only if they're interested. I'm not going to force that information on somebody because I don't like wasting my time teaching somebody that doesn't actually care about what I'm talking about. But Nikki, this is our 11th island that Nikki has been with me on, and she's been learning quite a bit, and you can see that this is like a little test. If I can say deploy the Genoa on the port side, and that's all I have to say, and Nikki can set it up properly, then bada bing, bada boom. She has learned, because when she came out to the boat, she couldn't do that before. And that is really one of the things I really like about sailing, is seeing other people learn and grow and seeing myself learn and grow. And I've talked about this before in other episodes about learning about weather, and I've done things that prove that I've learned because I couldn't do them before, and now I can do them. And this is an example of Nikki, how she has learned, and she is becoming a legitimate sailor. She knows how to run the ropes. She knows how to manage the sails. Could she single-hand? No, but she can take instructions and knows what I'm saying whenever I'm saying it, which is a lot to be said because most people don't even understand or wouldn't know what to do if I asked them to prepare to deploy the Genoa on the port side. And you can see that Nikki executed the maneuver damn near perfectly. But that is about how simple it is to deploy the head sail. When it's on a roller furler like that, quite simple from the cockpit to deploy them. Sometimes it's a little more effort depending on the wind angle and everything you're doing. And some of you may remember this and some of you won't remember this, but years ago, before I even learned how to sail, before I took that 5-day course, I went out sailing for a couple days with Bobby White of Sailing Doodles. He invited me out to his boat when I was down in Cabo San Lucas. We had a little bit of wind and we were motoring because we kind of had a little bit of a schedule, but I didn't know anything about sailing at the time, and Bobby was like, look how easy it is. We can just sail on the head sail. And so we deployed the head sail on his boat, and it was more or less the same as on my boat. And he's like, look, that's how easy it is to get sailing whenever you're going downwind. And now that we've cruised around the island a little bit, we have adjusted course to the left, and it's time to do a smooth jibe. What a jibe is taking the sail from one side of the boat, putting it out on the other side of the boat when the wind is behind you instead of in front of you.
Lovely.
And that with Bobby always just stuck with me in my head. That's a really nice way to introduce somebody into sailing. Just start with something easy, get a little wind under your belt and get a little wind in your sails, and go from there. Learn that, and then once you're comfortable with that, move on to the next thing. It's like when you've got a lot of different things to do, the head sail, the mainsail, the navigation, the anchoring, the weather, everything like that, it can become overwhelming just because of quantity of things you need to deal with. And so if you can simplify that and allow for the barrier of entry, so to speak, to be less, then it's a lot easier to learn. Because, if you see all the ropes and everything like that, sometimes people can get into a headspace, even me, where you go like, oh, it's too much to learn. I don't want to, I don't want to do this. I can't do this, whatever. And so that's why with people, I first teach them anchoring the boat, because one, that's like the first thing I need help with is anchoring. It's so much easier to anchor with two people than by myself. And then it's basic sail handling, and then from there it's up to them whether or not they want to go deep into the knowledge of sailing and weather and everything that it has to entail. After about an hour and 15 minutes into the sail, it was time to put the head sail away and prepare to dock the boat, because we are going to be docking on an old fishing quay, an old rocky fishing quay. Also, that means we average 2.9 knots of speed, so very slow sail. But once you understand the process of learning how things work, then you can realize, oh, I'm a beginner at this. Of course, I'm going to make mistakes. Of course, I'm going to suck at it at first. That doesn't mean that I'm stupid. That doesn't decrease my value. You're able to separate, in a sense, your actions from your identity, and then it's much easier to learn something because you've removed what you're learning from who you are as a person. And who you are as a person is, well, unfathomable, but you are an entity that learns, changes, adapts, and grows.
Hey, Nikki, go ahead and pull the dinghy up to the mid-cleat. Got it? And keep an eye out in the water if anything is sticking up. Fenders look at the right height.
And the wind is coming from the north, and so it's blowing us slightly off the dock, but also forward down the dock. Therefore, I have to get very close to the dock, but also if I go into neutral, we have a tailwind. It's not a huge amount of wind, but it has a real effect on the boat.
I'll go around again.
So we didn't make it the first docking attempt, but that's fine. You can see how rough that quay is, that stone quay, and also the way the swell is coming in there. It just makes it all a little bit more difficult. You know, we got time, so let's just go around and do it again.
You make it? Still not close enough? No. We'll go around and do it again. You make it?
But that worked out fine.
So we docked here to fill up water, and it's probably the slowest water tap I've ever been at, maybe in my whole life. It took like 45 minutes to fill up the tank with water, but a local fisherman said it's okay if we stay here tonight. The only issue is when ferries go by, we get a pretty gnarly wake, and this dock is not a nice one to get thrown up against. So I'm gonna put out the secondary anchor off our starboard side, and that'll hold us off the dock.
So basically what we're going to be doing is making our own form of a mooring line.
Ella, slowly, hold it tight. Slowly. Ella. Woo! Oh, it just almost fell on my foot. No big deal. Alright. Bring me in. You're gonna pay that out as I go out. Okay? Honestly, I think that'll probably be far enough.
I've only used this secondary anchor a few
away!
times before. I really don't use it very often. And I wanted to see if it would set by itself, of course, as an anchor should set. But I've had issues with this anchor setting in the past, but I wanted to see with this sand if we could just haul it in and if it would just set. And you can see that the plow is starting to set in a little bit, but really it's just kind of being dragged along. It hasn't dug in and gone vertical yet. And this is also an example of how the ground type affects the performance of an anchor. Because if we would have dropped this in the mud that we were in this morning, in the northern bay that we sailed from, that I did haul that anchor out of, it probably would set perfectly fine because it's soft mud and it would just dig right down into it. But this type of sand, it's a little bit different because it doesn't have the suction that mud has.
Into the water I go. Ella, follow me. Tie a loop around the end of that one. Follow me, you had it. Oh my god.
I thought you were saying I do it to the ground.
No, have confidence in yourself. If you know how to do it, you know how to do it. Shot. Is that holding? Alright, take us back that way. Alright, keep going. That way. Slow. Slow, slow, slow. Slow. Gonna be cold.
And you can see why sailors call anchors the hook, because you literally hook yourself into the earth. And this might sound stupid, but when there's a lot of wind and you're on anchor, the anchor is what is keeping you in place, obviously. But on the boat, you have gravity, which keeps you in the boat, but then you've got the wind blowing you downwind. So you've kind of got two forces of gravity. So you can think of it, instead of on a horizontal plane, you're on a vertical plane, and the hook is, you're literally just hooked into the earth, like you're hooked into a cliff edge, and you're dangling there holding on as the wind howls, and you're just hooked into the earth and chilling and waiting until you're ready to go again. And then you pick up the hook and you set sail, and then you drop the hook again. And there we go, anchor is set and it's working perfectly, holding the boat off of the dock. And now we have direct access to shore, and so we go in and have some dinner and some tourists take some photos with the boat. Always nice. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about this video. Support on Patreon, like the video, all that kind of stuff. But most importantly, let me know what you think. Have a good day. Bye-bye.